everything right, it was you and me.
Hello everyone, my name is Nayeema and welcome back to my channel. So currently home for spring break and I'm super excited. I'm going to be filming a ton and I'm just looking forward to just reading. It's a wrap up. It is significantly less books than I usually talk about in a wrap up, but again, that's because of school and finding time to read. Today I'm going to be talking to you guys about all the books that I read in February. I read a total of 7 books. A lot of them are really good books and ones that I did not expect to love as much. Thank you guys so much for watching this video, and without further ado, let's get right into it. Okay, so the first book that I read in February was Hunting Adaline by H.G. Carlton, and I gave this one 5 stars. When Haunting Adaline came out, I was obsessed with that book. It was like a stalker romance. It was just everything that I love in a romance book, and this one was so good. But I will say that it is a million times darker. There are themes of sex trafficking and just horrible things, sexual assault, rape. You definitely should check up the trigger warnings and the content warnings, because this book is incredibly more dark than Haunting Adaline, but I loved it all the same. I love dark romances, so this really just got me. I was even scared reading some of the scenes. I was like, oh my god, like my heart was beating so fast while reading some of these scenes because I was genuinely scared out of my mind. And this one is just like a continuation. It picks up where Haunting Adaline left off. Z is really trying to find Adaline after she gets taken, and it's just a really good romance book. I love how it really took detail with trying to get Adaline to heal after everything that she went through, which is really important because it just would not be realistic if she was totally fine after escaping trafficking. And I just thought it was such a really amazing book. I love H.G. Carlton's writing. I'm so excited to read what else she comes out. I still have not read Satan's Affair and I really want to. I know that people are like, ugh, it's so graphic, I can't do it, and it's really weird, but I'm really excited to read it. Excited to stay up to date with what else H.G. Carlton comes out with. The next book that I read was Deadly Class Volume 2, and I really wanted to read just like a little short graphic novel just to like say that I've read something. I do love this series though. You've heard me talk about it before. It got adapted to a TV show, and so I actually watched the TV show first and fell in love with it, but sadly it did not get renewed for season 2, so I'm currently trying to go back and read all the graphic novels, and I just read the second one in February and it was so good. If you don't know what it's about, it follows this boy. He was in the foster care system after his parents were murdered. He gets picked up off the streets and gets recruited to join the school filled with assassins and assassins' children, and they're really learning how to become like the best assassins, the best criminals, and it is so good. It takes place in like the 80s and it is amazing. I highly recommend if you like books like that. It's giving like Kingmakers by Sophie Lark. I just love schools filled with criminals and it's such a good one. The next book that I read in February was Hefty by Jessica Cain, and this is one of the books in her Big Boy series. I loved Hefty. This follows a kind of like nerdy, bigger jock who's not really a jock. He's on the football team, and then the star cheerleader, and it's also best friend's brother because this is the girl's best friend's brother. The girl has been pining after him for years and years and years, and it's mutual pining because he's been pining after her as well, but he thinks she would never be interested in him. She's like the star cheerleader, like the captain, and it's a really great and short seamy time. It's really fun, and I just really love these books in her series. I'm excited to read more of them. The next book that I read was Reminders of Him by Colleen Hoover, and I loved this book, guys. Like, this was such an amazing book. I went and got it from my Barnes & Noble on campus, and I read this like literally within a day. One day all the internet was down in the Wi-Fi, and I was like, well, might as well just go ahead and read this entire book, and I did, and it was so good. I loved it. It felt like so warm and fuzzy and comfy. I don't know how to explain books that make me feel like this, but it's a great feeling. Reminders of Him follows Kenna, and you don't really know what is, you're really just like dropped in her life, like, and you don't really know what's going on. It just feels like she's trying to get her life back in order in the very beginning of the book. She is writing letters to somebody named Scotty. We have no idea who Scotty is and why she has to write letters to him, why he's gone, and it is just such an amazing book. It's kind of a little bit taboo and forbidden because she's falling in love with somebody that she shouldn't. I feel like you should definitely go in blind to this. I don't read much Colleen Hoover, but this is really a reminder to pick up more of her work, and I'm really excited to go back and read more of her backlist. But this was such an amazing book. I just don't want to give too much away, but I ended up giving it 5 stars. I cried. It was such an intense feeling while reading this book. Like, I just felt so much pain for her and pain for Ledger, and it just really, it broke me. So I highly recommend this book. It's amazing. The next book that I read was Fake Out by Eden Finley, and this book was recommended to me by my friend M, and I gave it 3 stars. This one is a fake gay to real bisexual romance book. So it's this guy, and he runs into his ex-girlfriend at like a bar in New York or something like that, and they're from this really small town, and he never really liked his relationship with this girl. Their lives are super intertwined, and she literally is the type of person who just forces everything on you. So he couldn't get out of a relationship with her for years until he makes up a lie that he is gay. Then they had to break up. So they run into each other like years later. He sees her at this bar, and she informs him that she's about to get married, and she invites him to the wedding, and she's saying things like, "It should have been you." And he's like, "Well, I actually have a boyfriend." And then she's like, "Oh, why don't you bring him to the wedding?" So it is like a fake dating trope. I love it. She finds his best friend actually lets him borrow his brother to be his fake date because her brother is actually gay, and they end up falling in love. I thought it was really cute, but also incredibly boring. And I think it was the audiobook that really just did it for me. I did not like the audiobook at all. The person who played his love interest, the voice, I just could not get into it. It was a really cute book, and I feel like I would have liked it a lot more if I did not use the audiobook. Everybody raves about this book and loves it, so I just think I'm the odd one out, but it was a really interesting story, especially because I've never read anything like this before. I ended up giving it 3 stars. I mean, I would totally still recommend it to somebody, but it just wasn't my favorite. The next book that I read was Twisted Hate by Anna Huang, and this is actually the first book in this series that I genuinely enjoyed so much. I don't know why I keep putting myself through it, but it's because this one looked so good, and people were posting teasers everywhere, and I was like, oh, like, why does this smut sound really good? So I picked it up, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. I thought it was really, really good. Definitely the best in her series so far, in my opinion. And I just thought it was so good. Enemies with benefits, which I love that trope, and they absolutely hate each other. Best friend's brother, and also I would say like a workplace romance. They have not liked each other for years now, and their lives are super intertwined because they share like the same friends. Never gotten along after Jules, the main character, heard the hero say something about her years ago. So they just have never liked each other. There's always like this like taunting and banter. I really enjoyed that until they realize that like the chemistry between them cannot be denied, and they need to strike up some type of arrangement because they both equally want to sleep together. And it is an amazing book. I loved the enemies aspects. The banter was amazing, and I highly recommend this book just for people who love hate to love, who love enemies to lovers. There's like a forced proximity little segment in here. It is amazing. I love this book, and I ended up giving it 4 stars. Like I said, I definitely think it's the best one in the series, and it was a lot of fun. Like, I would definitely reread this book, and I would not reread the other ones. I highly recommend this one. And the last book that I read was Owning Her Innocence by Alexa Riley, and I gave this one 3 stars. This is a really short and steamy novella with a age gap romance, and I don't know, it was weird. There was a lot of weird-ish scenes. This guy, basically, he helped her dad raise her, and then when she becomes of age, they come together, and it was just a little bit, it was a tad bit creepy. Usually I don't mind stories like this, but it's the way that this one was written. It was just a bit creepy. Was it still really enjoyable? Yeah, I still really liked it, and I thought the smut was really good, but as a whole, I would recommend it, but not seriously. Like, I don't want anybody going to this book thinking it's the best time ever. It's also an older book, so like, I don't know, some concepts are a little bit like outdated in my opinion, but I was in the mood for an age gap romance, a really short one, and this one did it. This one did it for me. Like, it was good. It was a good time, so I do recommend this one. So that was the last book that I read in February. If you guys enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a big like and a comment down below, and also subscribe so you never miss another upload from me. And yeah, I mean, I'm very happy with the way my reading went in February. I'm very excited about March because it's currently a few days into March, and I've already read some really amazing books, so I'm very excited about all of that. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching this video, and I will see you very soon with a new video. Bye.